Roughly 1 year ago, I made a video on the craziest 77 seconds in NFL history. In a 1990 game between the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos, in a matter of 77 seconds, the Bills went from almost 3 possessions down to up 2 possessions after scoring 20 points in a matter of 77 seconds. But what about 3 touchdowns in a time frame even less than that? 3 touchdowns in just over a minute. In a 1972 game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Houston Oilers, that's exactly what happened. This is the story behind the craziest 64 seconds in NFL history. Here's the context going into this game. It's December 17, 1972, and the Bengals are squaring off against the Oilers in this AFC Central matchup on the final day of the season. This game is completely and utterly meaningless for both teams. All 4 playoff spots in the AFC have been decided, with the only thing up for grabs being whether Cleveland or Pittsburgh would win the division title. And the Cincinnati Bengals, sitting 2 games back of the Cleveland Browns for the final wildcard spot with 1 game to play, are mathematically eliminated with their 7-6 record. The Oilers, on the other hand, are the worst team in football. They're 1-12 and have already locked up the number 1 pick in the draft, thanks in part to a putrid offense that was dead last in the AFC with just 147 points scored. This game for both teams was merely about finishing out the season. Either the Bengals finish above 500 for the second time in franchise history, or the Oilers end their atrocious campaign on a high note. Early on, it's a pretty even game, which is going to sound like a laughable statement by the end of this video. It's tied 3-3 at the end of the first quarter, and Houston even leads 10-3 in the second after a 13-yard touchdown pass by Kent Nix to Fred Willis. But then, Cincinnati started to find its groove, scoring 13 unanswered points in the second quarter to lead 16-10 at the half. It's still anyone's game. Then the floodgates started opening up. After a field goal made it 19-10, Doug Dressler scored from 43 yards out to lead 26-10. Keep in mind that in his career, his longest rushing touchdown, excluding this play, was 4 yards, and he ran for 43 here. Then he scored another 1-yard touchdown at the end of the quarter to make it 33-10. At this point, the game is all but over. Cincy is up by 4 possessions, since the 2-point conversion did not exist back then. There is no way that Houston was going to be able to get back into this game. Amazingly enough, it gets worse, because what's about to transpire next might be the craziest 64 seconds in NFL history. To start off the fourth quarter, Dressler got his 3rd touchdown of the game, this time getting a 20-yard pass from Ken Anderson to make it 40-10. During this time, the Oilers decided to make a quarterback change, as Kent Nix got yanked for Ed Baker, an undrafted guy out of Lafayette. The game was over, so Houston figured they might as well see what they had in Baker. And what they found was, well, not good. The story behind Baker is kind of fascinating, and I'll save that for a future video, but basically he had about the worst possible debut ever. This was his first NFL game, and as it turns out, it would be his only NFL game. He threw a 25-yard pick six to Pro Bowl defensive back Lamar Parrish to make it 47-10. And then on literally the very next play from scrimmage, he threw a 33-yard pick six, once again to Lamar Parrish. In a span of 64 seconds, the Bengals went from up 33-10 to up 54-10, an incredible 21 points in 64 seconds, or about a point every 3 seconds if you're doing the math at home. Since he would wind up winning the game 61-17, scoring yet another pick six touchdown. After the game, Bengals head coach Paul Brown seemed sad when talking about that incredible stretch. He said, "I got no pleasure out of that whatsoever. They were just trying that young quarterback, and he was throwing interceptions. And you just take what they give you." Lamar Parrish, who scored 2 of the 3 touchdowns in that stretch, said on Baker's performance that it's a dog-eat-dog world. And Baker, understandably dejected after that, said, "I could have done that well my first day in college." The win set a Bengals record for most points scored, and an Oilers record for most points allowed. It is amazing how times change. A few years prior, Cincy went for the tie because they were scared of losing. I made a video about that game in the upper right corner. 4 years later, they put together the greatest 64-second stretch in NFL history. Be sure to like this video and subscribe down below if you haven't already, as it helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out Twitch every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for your chance to play NFL trivia and win cash prizes. Link in the description below. If you want to see videos like this condensed down to 60 seconds, then follow me on TikTok at JackWarGator9 and subscribe to 60-Second NFL History on YouTube. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. So you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.